Hey guys, welcome back to Movie Chat Wednesdays. So last week we talked about one of my favorite cartoons, Emperor's New Groove, and today I'm going to kind of change it up a little bit and talk about one of my favorite directors. One of my favorite directors is Wes Anderson. And if you're familiar with film at all, you probably know who that is. But if you've never heard of him and this is your first time hearing about him, you're gonna love it. So Wes Anderson has directed many, many films, and I'm not a super expert on himself as a person, but I am fairly familiar with his work. Probably my favorite film that Wes Anderson's ever made is a movie called Moonrise Kingdom, and it's about two young people who are kind of little oddballs in their communities, and they fall in love, and then they run away together, and it's about the whole community going off in search of them. And it is just so cute, but also very heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. But Wes Anderson has a way of writing characters that are quirky but relatable. The main little boy in the movie is a Boy Scout who runs away from the Scouts, and the young girl is kind of a rebellious young lady in her family, and the rest of her family doesn't really understand her. The Boy Scouts are an interesting element in this film because they go off in search of this young man, but instead of treating it like a rescue mission, they treat it almost like they're hunting down a criminal or something. They even bring weapons and get into like a little bit of a war with him and the girl, which I think is just adorable. The movie stars some of Wes Anderson's favorite actors like Edward Norton, Bruce Willis, Frances McDormand, and many others that I can't think of off the top of my head. Tilda Swinton, some of his favorite actors to work with, and I'm pretty sure they enjoy working with him too, since they've starred in so many of his films. Another film that came out more recently that I'm very fond of is the Grand Budapest Hotel, which is utterly adorable. It is about a man who owns this really lavish hotel that is very prestigious, and about his experience working there and all of his underlings and all of the drama and controversy that comes whenever he is accused of something and has to go on the run. It's a very interesting oddball kind of story because the hotel manager is accompanied by his lobby boy, and the whole story is kind of told from the lobby boy's perspective as a grown man. And it stars a lot of really interesting characters. Tilda Swinton is in this one again. She's a favorite, I believe, of Wes Anderson. The wonderful Ralph Fiennes, I'm going to butcher his name. He stars as the main character and does an excellent job. I believe Adrian Brody's in it. I mean, it's really just an all-star cast of a lot of interesting, quirky characters. Another movie that you might know from Wes Anderson would be The Royal Tenenbaums, which is about a very awkward family and their life experiences. That one really, really got to me and made me really, really cry at certain points. Luke Wilson, I believe is the right actor's name. He plays a character that is just absolutely heart-wrenching. That one also stars Gwyneth Paltrow, who plays a very fascinating character. Owen Wilson's in it. Bill Murray's in it. He plays a really funny character. Gene Hackman's in it. The lovely Angelica Hurston is in it. And it's just really about a very interesting and quirky family and their family dynamic. They kind of have this struggle with the father figure, the patriarch of the family, who is kind of fallen from grace and not living up to their grand potential. Because the Tenenbaums are a family of geniuses, and they are trying to be the best version. Oh, it also has Ben Stiller in it, who is hysterical. Anyway, but they're all trying to live up to their greatest potential and become what they were as children, which was child prodigies. And as they all kind of fail at it and don't really follow through on what people thought they'd be able to accomplish. So it's interesting. It's a good movie. I highly recommend it. Wes Anderson's also directed several animated films. Well, not animated, like stop motion films. The Fantastic Mr. Fox is an excellent one. Has the voice talent of George Clooney in it. So it's a very excellent one. It's about a fox who tries to steal food from various entities throughout the film, but from a farmer near the end of the movie, and about him and his family and his friends and their exploits. And it stars a bunch of very adorable little characters. One of his newest films that's coming out very soon in 2018 is The Isle of Dogs, And that is one of my things that I'm really looking forward to this year, is watching that movie. It's another stop motion film, and it's about basically like a garbage island where a bunch of dogs in, I think, Japan have been kind of sent, and then a young boy ends up on the island, and I think he's looking for his dog or something. I'm not really sure. It looks fascinating, and I like that that kind of quirky style that Wes Anderson really puts into all of his films. The Life Aquatic is a little bit more of a cult film, but it has, a blend of live action and animated sections, and that's, just a delightful film. So if you haven't ever watched a Wes Anderson film, some things that you want to look out for when you watch Wes Anderson is his use of symmetry. He is extremely, extremely fond of symmetry. Just about any shot, you can just divide it right down the middle and have this really nice balance between whatever elements are on screen. You also want to be ready to see some quirky characters who don't really react in realistic ways, but it all works in the weird Wes Anderson universe that they all live in. Another thing you might look for is his use of color. A lot of times characters are associated with a certain palette of colors, and that's like their colors, and you can kind of see them throughout the film. Even when they're not on screen, you can still see them because of those colors being present to represent them in a certain scene. He is also very fond of handwritten things. You'll see lots of notes, letters, cards, that sort of thing, all throughout his film, and lots of close-ups. He loves those. But he's a delightful director. I find his films absolutely fascinating. They're really nice to dissect and really get into and talk about all the nitty-gritty stuff, because he's very, very much a perfectionist. And I don't know if I'd like to work with someone who's quite like him. I feel like that'd be very tedious in set design and acting and that sort of thing, because you'd have to get everything exactly right to, live up to his standards. But he crafts some really, really beautiful pieces of art. So again, if you've never seen a Wes Anderson film, I highly recommend it. Go check it out. Moonrise Kingdom, one of my favorites. If you like coming-of-age stories, if you like childhood romances and things like that, you'll really enjoy it. Alrighty, well, thanks for listening to me ramble on again, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.